Well, thank you, everybody, and we appreciate you spending 10 minutes with us today. And, our theme today was taking advantage of what the lessons learned that we've had coming through this. And, there's been a lot of writing going on that we need to pay attention to what we've learned as we move forward and not just go back to everything as it was. And there's some really interesting things people have shared. And one of the things we wanted to do is share some of that with you and also share with you a new video that we're just releasing today on YouTube, which is in the link in the chat, and it's for public use for everyone to begin to be in thinking about that. But as we start this, we really wanted to help families, individuals with disabilities, and staff think about how we look forward, not just what was taken away, but what we've learned coming out of this. So Rebecca, if you'd play that, and I'm going to turn my video off because I'm having a little bit of Wi-Fi challenges today.
The coronavirus pandemic has disturbed life as we know it, in more ways than we can count. Maybe it means taking extra precautions to keep others safe around you. Perhaps it has meant staying closer to home for work, school, or play. Maybe new systems have gated for your teams and it feels like the old ways have been thrown out the window. I imagine a lot of it is disruptive, challenging, and frustrating, among other things. It may feel difficult or too soon to find a silver lining in all of this, but if we've pushed pause on the normal that we used to know, what has changed that might be worth continuing? Are you spending your time differently? Prioritizing different things? Communicating with people you may have lost touch with? As we figure out what it means to open up, what values, actions, and perspectives are we taking with us? How will you paint your canvas?
Carry things forward that out of this, I've had a lot of people share with me how it's kind of opened their eyes about their staff, their situation, the people we support, and families, and communicate in a whole new way. I see my friend Jeff Moeller here from Indiana Special Olympics, and had the great pleasure of listening to athletes talk about how they're working together virtually, and how exciting that is to be doing things in new ways. So there's a lot we can learn. In the chat, we have access to that YouTube video, and free to use it if you'd like, however you would like to do that. We also put in there's a new piece out from Rooted in Rights about how to make webinars, Zoom, FaceTime more accessible to all people with disabilities. And as we think about this, there's just some good, simple things that we can do that make it easier along the way. And thinking about lessons learned, I'm going to turn it over to Sue right now and talk about some of the other things we've picked up from people. And as we go through, I want to again let you know we're going to do our overtime session for anybody that would like to stick around for a few minutes and share, or again, please jump in. We've got some great, we're now kind of cross country here with folks from not only the Midwest, but California and the East Coast. So thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thanks, John. Hi, everyone. I'm Sue Gordon. I'm with the Quillo team. And I love that video because it really gets us starting to think kind of in that forward direction, yet reflecting on what we've done these last couple of months. So if you think about it, ask yourself, how did we deliver those services differently? How do we prioritize what would happen, what would take place? How do we communicate differently with staff? You know, are you using technology now in a different way? And you know, think of everything that you've used: the Zoom, Facebook, FaceTime. Your emails might look different in terms that you might have done a weekly email now instead of, you know, just periodically. Maybe you did something different on your newsletters. And so as you reflect on those things, it's about taking the nuggets that are working well and saying, should we continue to do that? Is that something that we want to make happen now in the organization? Because it did allow us to connect with families differently. It did allow us to connect with the people that we support in a different way. You know, I think of all the drive-by celebrations I've seen on YouTube or on FaceTime, the recognitions that people have received on posters, posting those in people's yards, the chalk messages that folks have done for folks to celebrate special things. I mean, just think about the different ways we've communicated, and even recognizing staff. I know I've even gone back to just writing out personal thank you cards to people. So it's thinking about all those things that we've done and what is it that we want to make sure we continue, as well as what values are we wanting to bring forward? You know, are we showing more empathy to folks? Are we having more patience? Are we talking about self-care in a different way, just due to the fact of what's happened these past couple months? And I think that the video itself starts us reflecting and thinking about what are we going to do differently moving forward. Scott, I know you and Craig have been working a lot on the hiring of folks. So talk a little bit about that.
Sure thing. Thanks, Sue. Hi, everyone. Scott T. Fasell here from Blitz. Yeah, I think you have a number of tremendous opportunities right now. The number of providers that are hiring right now is very high. I know some providers, given the makeup of the organization, unfortunately have had to freeze hiring. But overall, obviously out there in the United States, a lot of businesses have totally frozen hiring indefinitely, and you have an opportunity to hire, you know, any one of those 35 plus million people that have claimed unemployment in the last 2 months. So there's a much larger candidate pool available to you. But the unfortunate thing in discussions of that, Craig and I have heard people instantly place limitations around themselves of, oh, well, we might be able to hire them, but they'll never last. It's, you get frustrated when you hear somebody say that a client that you serve and support, oh, they'll never do that. And yet at times we kind of take that mindset and apply it to our own situation and limit ourselves just through our beliefs. Now, all of those people you may hire may not last for years, but what if they last for a few months, you have a great relationship with them, and what type of story can you leave them with that they can go forth into the community and share with others and become a great advocate for you and the work that you do? In addition to that, we've talked a lot about hiring processes with hiring direct support professionals, and obviously given social distancing, that's really thrown a big wrench into the process for many of you. But the opportunity that's in front of you is everyone has quickly pivoted, made changes to the hiring and interviewing process to adjust to the realities of today, and really focused on what's absolutely essential, what's important right now versus what's important later. So as we start to open up and go back to normal, air quotes around that, whatever the new normal is, you know, let's not just fall back on the way we used to do it, because there are opportunities and efficiencies to be gained from how we've modified this process. It's probably not ideal, but let's not just default back to the old way of doing things, because we've had to get very focused on being efficient with our time and getting what we need during the hiring process. So we're going to talk about that more actually just a little bit later today. We mentioned it briefly at the end of last week's webinar. Craig and I are doing a webinar called Hiring Better Direct Support Professionals Despite COVID-19. Totally free webinar. Would love to see you there. It's at 2 o'clock this afternoon. That's 2 p.m. Eastern. If you've already registered, great. Look forward to seeing you there. If you haven't, and obviously this is last minute, don't worry. If you sign up, we'll send you the recording as soon as that's live. So now would be happy to chat with you. You know, what are your thoughts? What have we sparked with you and the things that we've discussed briefly here today? What would you like to talk about? What challenge are you perhaps facing?
Is there some lesson learned that you found in these last 2 months that has been an aha moment that you want to continue going forward? And just in a few seconds, if there's something that's jumped out at you that you can share with the group. Pete, you may be muted there.
Rebecca, can you unmute Pete?
There we go. Can you hear me
Yeah.
now?
Yes.
Okay. So we serve a man that is deaf, and we've had to do a lot of different things with Zoom with him. And one of the neat things about it is, you know, he has people that want to push him out into the job world, but they come and talk to him and they wear a mask. That just doesn't help him. And they can't quite understand what the problem is. But when you do Zoom with him and you can do the sign, he gets that, he understands. And we're thinking going forward that even going into certain meetings where people don't look directly at him when they're talking to him, they're off to the side, there's no face-to-face sometimes, but the Zoom thing is really going to help him. I wonder if it might not also help us with some of the people that we recruit.
Great idea. Great idea. Anybody else have a quick thing that they want to just share that they've picked up that they think they'd like to carry forward and see what it can help them in the future? Yeah, Leslie.
We've been using Zoom meetings to inform families and clients about happenings in the organization, and that's been very successful. We've had 70, 80 people join. Today we're doing 2 different webinars, and I have over about 140 people combined between the 2 webinars. So we'll probably do this going forward as a way to reach out to families. I've always wanted to do that, and I found that this is a good technology for that.
Great. I've had a number of people, I've told folks around the country about your lifelong learning Facebook page, and you've had people following you. You may not realize it, but from all over, taking classes with folks that every hour they've got different things going on Facebook Live. And
Yeah, we've got
very
some
cool.
very creative people that have been doing those and having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, great. Okay, well, I know we asked you to commit to just 10 minutes. We're gonna just give permission to anybody that's got to move off, but we're gonna keep talking for just a little bit longer for anybody that'd like to stick around. So thank you, everybody.